Our first player this round in the player's turn is Grandma Bates. You might be able to see her down here with the purple base. She has that nurse in the hallway, and that nurse only has 1 life remaining. So we could take that nurse out. The slashers are active, did some damage to Arnie. We need to take that 1 slasher out and get out of the dream world, otherwise they're going to keep coming for us. And up here, Arnie has this nurse right next to him, which means his body is vulnerable while he's in the dream world. He's already on the same space as the slasher, so maybe what we'll do is attack the slasher with Arnie and then pop out of the dream world so he can defend himself against that nurse. But first, let's see what we're going to do with Grandma Bates. The first thing we'll do is we would drop the cooldowns at the beginning of the player turn, and it would be dropping them on all of them, but she only has the cooldown on drive-through, so it's down to 4 now. And this is where it would be important to take that nurse out, because if you deal the final blow to a creature, you get to reduce the cooldown of one of your abilities by 1. So if we can take that nurse out that only needs 1 more hit, we can drop this down to 3. So we want to take that nurse out, and she does have that big fire axe available, which is a great visual that a old lady in a wheelchair is wheeling herself up to an enemy and attacking that enemy with an axe. That's pretty sweet. So I'll move these doors out of the way temporarily, just so the camera angle allows you to see a little bit better. We'll use 1 of her additional points that she's allowed to use for movement to move her 1, and we'll use her first action point to attack the nurse with the fire axe. The fire axe will give me 7 dice on my attack. Grandma's attack rating is 5, so we need 5s and 6s to be successful, and we need at least 2 successes because the nurse has a defense of 1. So we need 2 successes. Oh, dropped a die. And it looks like that is all we have. We have a 5 and a 6, and that's all we needed was 2 successes. 1 will be removed because of the nurse's defense, but we will still do 1 damage. 5 damage is enough to eliminate that nurse, and since she dealt the final blow, she's able to reduce her cooldown by 1. If you're wondering what these dice are here on the card, I'm using those to keep track of action points and abilities. She has 2 action points and she's used 1. She has 3 action points that she can use for move, and she's used 1 of those already. It's just a way for me to keep track of things since I have 5 characters to try and remember things for. She has 2 action points remaining that she can use for movement and 1 regular action point. I think what I want to do is start bringing her around this direction because she has this faith healing ability to give 4 health back to a character within a range of 5. And that would go well with Arnie, who has taken 4 wounds already, so we'll get her within range to heal him. And I can't remember if I rolled a 1 during my attack. Let me go back and look at the video. If so, I'll have to take a durability away from my fire axe. I looked and I did roll a 1, so our first durability is lost on the fire axe. We still have 4 remaining on it though. We'll use 2 movement points remaining on her special ability to move her in that direction, and I don't want to go up this hallway because that would make me a lot closer to these monsters here. But there's a scavenger here that is 3 spaces away from me, so I think that would be the best action, would be to move there with my final action point to get away from that scavenger. And I placed those doors back where they belong. We have Bernard Smith with the red base. He's in this room. The only way out is the door to the south where he came in. But before we leave, we are in a space that would have a item we can search there, a cabinet or bookshelf or something. So let's go ahead and spend his first action point to do that. Let's see what Bernard ends up with. That's a low cost one. 1 for weapons, 2 for meds. Wow. Hopefully we can get a lot of successes here and at least grab a couple of items. Bernard has an imagination of 6. 4s, 5s, and 6s are successes. Looks like we have 3 successes, which is great. Yes, 3 successes, which means we can purchase a weapon and a med with 3 successes. And for the weapon, lobotomy spike. Roll 4 dice. If you roll at least 1, it might be hard to see there. It says if you roll 1 6, you can add the chaos die. Even if you use the chaos die when you used one of your insanity, you can still add another one. And for the med, fluoxetine has 2 uses and it adds +1 action point. He already has 4, so man, he can really do a lot of stuff by using his meds. Remember, this is small, so it won't take up an inventory spot, even though the small keyword's not on here. All meds are small. Bernard is almost at his item capacity. He has broken glass, lobotomy spike, and this pistol here. So he's a walking armory, which means we could use some of the durability on these weapons to take care of some doors if we need to. But I don't want to use too much of it up, because that is a nice selection of weapons. Bernard has 3 action points remaining. I could move him south 3 to be right inside the door and ready to come out on his next turn. But if I put him there, that puts him in range of some of these monsters. Once they move, they would move to him. That's a tough choice. What do I want to do? Well, I don't want to be stuck in the room, so I'll use my 3 remaining points to move. We now come to Arnie's turn, who is here in the same space with the slasher. There, Arnie has the orange base and the slasher has 2 damage on it. I want to get out of the dream world if possible. First thing we do on Arnie's turn is reduce his cooldowns. I don't think I can use plow through because it involves moving and knocking things down with your body, and I think the dream world stipulation that I can't use something that affects my body. I don't know if that qualifies or not. I have 2 action points and I'm already in the space with the slasher, so I might as well go for it and attack him. Maybe I'll do 2 attacks since I'm kind of stuck there. Let's see if it'll work. So we will attack with our first action point, and we'll have Arnie use his club. We could use up durability to add more dice. And we can do that even after the attack roll. Nice. I want this slasher eliminated, so we will use another sanity to add a chaos die to Arnie's attack of 5 dice with his club. Here we go. Arnie has an attack rating of 3, so we need 3s and up to be successful. That looks like a pretty good roll. Wow. Okay. So we got the +1, which is actually kind of bad because it doesn't do much for us because they're all successes except 1. So all of these dice will go up 1, which means all 5 are successes. The slasher does have a defense of 2, and that leaves us with 3 successes, but we have to test for his avoidance. But I think I will use a durability from the club to roll another die. So let's move everything to the side and use another die. So we'll roll an extra 1, and that's a 5. I don't know if this +1 applies to this one that I rolled afterwards, but it doesn't really matter because a 5 is a success with Arnie anyway. So that gives us 6 successes, 2 of which, the 2 lowest ones here, the 3 and the 4, will go away. So we have 4 successes. We don't have any critical attack or anything like that this time. So we can roll all 4 at once to see if the slasher avoids it. 5s and 6s means they're avoided. We only got 1 6, so the slasher will take 3 damage and almost be dead. So close. I'm glad I rolled that extra die though. Since I only need 1 more wound to take that slasher out, I will go ahead and have his second action be using his club again. which allows him to roll 5 dice. I don't want to use any more of his sanity right now. And remember, 3s and higher are successes. So we have 2 successes here. Or sorry, we have 3 successes. The slasher is going to have 2 of those go away. So I will add another knock to the club to roll an additional die. And gain another success. Great. So that means 2 of them go away, leaving 2 successes. And we have to roll these to see if the slasher avoids them. As long as one of them hit, we will take this first slasher out. Perfect. Both hit. The slasher did not avoid. Arnie has done it. He has taken out our first slasher. He was able to do the final blow, so he can reduce one of his cooldowns. Foresight's going to be gone soon, so let's send Shockwave down. That way, in a couple of rounds, everything will be available again. And I don't want him to stay in the dream world since that nurse is right next to him. So he'll spend one of his health to use his nervous ability, lose a health and gain an additional action point. So he'll use his additional action point to attempt to leave the dream world, which requires an imagination test, unfortunately, and his imagination is 5. So hopefully we can get out of there, or he's going to be stuck in there for a while. So we need to roll really low here. We need 5 or less. And we did it. Oh my goodness. Wow. I was hoping that would happen, but I wasn't confident, that's for sure. He passed, and he is out of the dream world. He's still in the same location where his body was at, but now his body and mind are back together. That was an amazing turn for Arnie. So we have 2 slashers still out there. We do have Helena, who is in the dream world. We need to get her out of there also on her turn. Because if we get her out of there, then the slashers will stop moving for now because no one will be in the dream world. And we can try and gain a couple more items that'll help us with those slashers before we jump back into the dream world. And remember, if we take another of the slashers out, the next scenario will kick in. So we'll have another slasher running around still with another scenario of who knows what's coming next. But we have Peter's turn now, who is up there with the green base. He is dealing with the scavenger. Scavenger already has 1 damage on it and has 3 total health. We'll have Peter use his ability here of Craziness Unleashed, his utility power. It'll cost him 1. He can attack with a number of dice equal to the character's base max insanity. For him is a 6. We can use insanity to gain +1 to attack rolls, and we can do that multiple times. We're not going to do that, but we will take 6 dice to attack, and this will cost us 1. That will be his first action point, and we'll have to place our cooldown marker on that power. He gets to roll 6 dice. He has an attack rating of 4. We want to get a couple of hits on that scavenger. Scavenger doesn't have any defense, so that's good. So we need 2 hits to take it out. That looks spectacular. 5, 5, 5, 6, 6. That is 5 successes. That scavenger is destroyed. The scavenger is easily eliminated. And since he dealt the final blow, we can drop one of his cooldowns, and that really helps out a lot. So we can use that again, not too far into the future. He has 2 action points remaining. I think what I'll do with his 2 remaining points is I'm going to move him here for 1, and that'll allow him to interact with that door, because I want to get into this room next turn and search that body for some items that might be useful. We're interacting with this door. We have a barricade 3. That door is a barricade 3. There are multiple ways to take care of that. You can use action points, which he has none left right now. For every action point you use, it removes part of the barricade. So I'd need 3 action points total to take it out. Or you can put durability hits to your weapon, and you can do that immediately. Putting durability hits to your weapon does not cost action points, so I could do that right away. Also keep in mind that if you have a weapon that is indestructible, it does not have durability on it, it cannot be used to remove barricades. I don't want to waste my entire next turn using action points just to open that door. So since I came across that barricade and I have a wooden cross that I can use because it has 7 durability on it, I'll put all 3 durability hits on that. It still has 4 remaining and that barricade is removed. That door is open for my next turn so I can go in a lot easier. We have Helena here with the yellow base. She's in the dream world. If we don't get her out of it, the slashers will move towards her, but she can't do much right now stuck in the dream world. The slashers are pretty far away. They wouldn't get to her because they wouldn't be able to get her in line of sight and run at her. I'm choosing to get her out of the dream world, so she has to do an imagination test. It'll cost her 1 action point, and she has an imagination of 7, so we need low again. Ooh, 7 exactly. It's equal to or lower, so we're good. Coming back will cause her to snap back to where her body's located, and she is out of the dream world. And she has 2 action points remaining. I almost forgot. She, at the beginning of her turn, should reduce her cooldown. I think I will have her interact with this door over here. That way she will have access over here and maybe grab some more of her memories. I don't want to come out here because that's where all the monsters are going already. Let's move 1 to the east back to where we were in the dream world basically and interact with that door. And that'll cost us our 2 remaining action points, 1 to move, 1 to interact. Oh, that is nice. We have a blank. That door just comes right out. Someone forgot to lock it. That door is out. That ends the turn for our characters. And now we move into the monster turn. We'll draw our movement card. And the slashers won't activate this time because no one is in the dream world. Brink of Madness. Characters may roll an imagination test. Success equals recover a sanity. Fail, lose a sanity. Do I want to gamble with anyone? I do not want to gamble with anyone. Helena has 3 remaining before she even gets to her negative cooldown effect. Grandma has 3. Bernard has 3. Arnie only has 1 remaining, and then he'll be in the bad area, but he would need to roll 2, 3, 4, or 5 just to be successful, so odds are he's going to fail. And Peter hasn't used any sanity yet, so no reason to risk it. We will have a green surge. The green surge couldn't have come at a better time because the slashers get +1 action point for this turn and they're not going to move. And they would gain 1 health back. So we defeated that slasher, luckily. Otherwise, it would have got 1 of its health back. There is no memory spawn. The warden will move 1. The warden moves forward from 2 to 3. We're doing pretty good now. The warden is still only on 3, and we are a third of our way through our first scenario. We've taken out a slasher. That is very good. But now all the monsters are going to move, and I think a couple of them are going to reach us and be able to attack. So let me do all the monster movement, and we'll see where we end up. All of the monsters have moved, except the slashers. They stayed where they were because no one's in the dream world. Arnie's in rough shape here. He has a scavenger and a nurse that will attack him. And then a scavenger made it to Grandma also. We will deal with the monsters attacking Arnie first. Since there are 2 monsters on his space, that will kick in the overwhelm rule, which means every subsequent monster gets +1. And that's +1 to their attack dice. The first monster that attacks will not get any bonus, but the next one will add 1 attack die. They are both basic monsters, so I will just randomly pick if it's going to be the nurse or the scavenger that will go first. The nurse will be 1, 2, or 3. And the nurse will go first, giving the scavenger the +1 to attack. Our nurse gets to roll 6 dice with an attack rating of 4. Unfortunately, Arnie's foresight is still in cooldown, so we cannot use that defense. Her attack rating of 4 gives her 2 successes. Well, that worked out well because Arnie has a defense of 2. So he takes no wounds from the nurse. The scavenger will use 5 dice plus 1, so it gets 6 also, and it has precision, so any 6s it rolls will ignore our armor. And the only thing helping us here is the attack rating of 5 for the scavenger. Oh no! Oh my... What? Man. All 3 of those are going to ignore armor. That one, the armor will stop, but he will take 3 more wounds. Arnie's in trouble. We need to get Grandma some help so she can get over there and heal him up some. So he has 5 wounds. He's going to take 3 more. And that will place him at a total of 8 wounds. Meaning he only has 3 remaining until he is dead and has to return to his cell. Giving that scavenger the extra die really hurt. Now we have Grandma Bates, who is being attacked by a scavenger also. She does have a defense of don't hit the old lady, but she doesn't have action points remaining left over to use. She does not have any defense, so what the scavenger rolls and hits just hits. Scavenger has an attack rating of 5 and gets 2 successes. 6s would have ignored armor anyway. Grandma Bates takes her first 2 wounds. And I made a mistake. I went out of order. These 3 monsters should have spawned after the monster movement, but before the attack. So I will spawn these monsters, and we will see if any of them end up on a character's space. We have a scavenger, a mental patient, and a nurse. The scavenger will go to C10. That won't change anything. C10 is down here at the entrance area. The mental patient will spawn B3, Bravo 3. And that super duper extra sucks because B3 is right where Peter was headed. And finally, we have a nurse at D6, Delta 6. That doesn't change anything at the moment either. That is right here in the water tower. I believe I did the water tower movement wrong with the monster that was in there before. It looks like there's a wall right here, and you have to go up these stairs to get to this platform area where I had a creature that was in here when they started, and I just had them come right out. That's to my disadvantage, so that's not a big deal, since it's not going to help me, but I have to remember with this nurse, she's going to have to take these steps down before she can get out. She can't just hop over to here and work out. So we need to take care of some of these monsters that are attacking Arnie, and Grandma Bates is in trouble because she is pretty much cornered on all sides. We have creatures coming from this way in the hallway, this way, coming from the north, so she needs something to get her out of there. She might have to use her Don't Hit the Old Lady ability and gain stealth, which will allow her to leave spaces with monsters. I don't think there's anything else I could do to get her out of there. Luckily, Bernard's nearby, and he has a slew of weapons to help out. And I think he can attack that scavenger from inside the door because that door is open, and that space connects to that door also. So he should be able to attack before even moving. And if he does a good job from a distance, he can jump out there and attack that nurse too. Although he can actually attack the nurse at a distance too because that whole space is visible from that door spot. So that might work out. And then we have to see what we're going to do with Peter. He has that mental patient right there to deal with. If he moves 1 and then attacks, that would use up all but 1 of his points, which would not leave him enough to move and inspect the body at the same time. Taking the time to go all the way around and come in the other door would take even more time, so maybe he needs to attack. And then we can have Helena go this way, attack that mental patient, and work her way over here to these memories to see if those can help us out. She already has 1 memory, so even if she gets a bad one, she can trade 2 of them in and gain another skill that may help us. And the warden is still only at 3, so that's good. Alright, our first player coming up This time will be Bernard Smith.